Hello and welcome to SkyPunk Podcast, episode 3, with your host Johnny Travis, Ryan Clark in the top right, Troy McJohnson in the bottom middle. Today we're just going to talk furthermore about Cyberpunk. We know it's getting talked about a lot, but it's the biggest thing that's going on, and a lot of controversy online, on Twitter. There's so much to talk about. I mean, do you want to hit it off, Ryan? Because we've all got so much to say.
Yeah, so where do we start? Oh, I don't actually know where to start.
I know there's that much.
Shall I just talk about my experience?
Yeah, you stopped playing it. You stopped playing it, didn't you, Ryan? But you've gone back to it now, haven't you?
Yeah, so in the last podcast, I didn't really have an opportunity to play it because it just came through the door. Now I've had a chance to play it, and for me, I'm playing it on the PS5. So for me, I initially, like the first kind of build up, I really enjoyed. I liked it's like you said in the last part, the density in the atmosphere. I could sense that it was so nice to be just browsing and traversing this world. It was appealing, and the missions were cool. I restarted some missions just to see how they diverged, and they were quite interesting. I think it got through to about halfway through Act 2, and I think I just got overwhelmed with a bunch of side missions, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I just kind of thought, okay, I'll change to the other side of the coin. So I started off with male V, went to female V, because I know that the person who plays female V is she's been in quite a few games and stuff that I watch. So and yeah, it's kind of just sort of like a re-spark. I went to Corpo instead of Nomad, and so far I'm kind of enjoying it again. I think that first section is very nice to begin with. It's engaging. It's good fun. But yeah, I luckily with the PS5, I've not seen many glitches. I have had about half a dozen crashes. I've seen the odd moments where I've had, items in the midair. But my experience, I feel like I'm a little bit behind you guys in terms of time frame. So for me, I'm still enjoying it, but I understand that you guys, I mean, in terms of it, opinions mixed between the both of you. Like, how's it been for you guys?
Well, yeah, I think I've put the most time into it, and I must say, like, the further you get into it, the less focus. Well, for me, the less focus I've got on the glitches, and I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. I think all the side quests and stuff like that really bring the game into its own. So,
Is it quite unique, the missions?
not everybody else's focus is on the glitches, but the further you get into it, that it shifts from that. It's getting better.
Yeah, you are sinking a lot of your teeth into it quite a lot lately. Well, for me, it's uninstalled. It's gone, I'm afraid.
Well, how come? What was it? What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
It was the point where it were paywalling me with in-game currency. I literally just paid off 21 grand to Victor, that guy. So I was doing side missions for that just to pay him off, and then I did about 2 story missions, and then to progress in that, I've got to get a further 15,000 in-game currency to carry on.
I know.
And it's frustrating because I'm pretty sure like side missions are supposed to be optional and fair play, but then it's like now I'm getting forced to do them. It's like, well, no, I'm going to do side missions. That's for my own gain in a game. It's like I want to buy more perks and modifications for my body, weapons and stuff, and it's like all I seem to be doing while paying to get further in the story. I only spent like a couple of thousand, and then on top of that, they've got vehicles for sale, 20, 30, 50,000. It's like, at this point are you actually even going to get the money?
Yeah, I ain't bothered with vehicles, but I think having to pay to progress, I think that's deliberate. I think it's to force you to go into the game and sort of explore the environment, the world, and it's worked for me. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I think the biggest issue is not the fact that they actually do it, it's the fact that a common placement in RPG games is that we get the option just to pay them, or you get options to, I don't know, blackmail them, take other routes to try and get past that obstacle in the game. And I think that's what's missing. And that is a big thing that's missing for the whole game, I think. It's just, there's not enough RPG elements. Like, as a whole, I feel like it is pretty much a linear type of game, but in an open world with a few extra side missions. Like I think I've said to you both before, I don't feel like the world looks amazing. I just don't. It doesn't feel alive and full of content. It's like everywhere I go, just locked doors, minimal conversation with people. Unfortunately, even though I thought the NPCs were going to be pretty talkative, they're not. I mean, there were one guy. I punched him to the floor, and he let me talk to him. I just said, "Hey, I've just punched you to the floor, mate."
I think
I've got a lot with it.
We need to look at it like Ryan says, but not as an RPG, but as a first-person shooter with extra elements.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. But it's just that it was sold on that it's an RPG, and he's
it has been sold
specializes
as that, and it's wrong. But
interestingly enough, sorry, you go.
Too many people are focusing on what the game doesn't have, as opposed to what it does have. I think that's the problem in the community at the minute.
There's going to be a bit of rivalry going on here because they are starting to love it, and I'm starting to
really enjoy it, love it.
But the thing is, I can't find that many positives to hang on to. I mean, for me, the story, as far as I got, it were okay. It started getting better. I won't say it was anything mind-blowing, but it's not bad. Things like that. The lack of features and stuff that were promised, there's just too much. I've got a massive list. I mean, you kill somebody, literally turn around and cops spawning right in front of your eyes, fully armored up. There's no realization there's no realisticness with that or anything like that. I think that's the terminology for it. There's so much. I mean, it's just cut corners. I mean, there was supposed to be a subway for fast traveling. That's not in there. It's literally just a signpost like it is on Witcher 3. I think it's a bit more. You can let it go a bit more when they are in the fantasy world with the billboards, but in an open world like this, I mean, I mentioned it to Troy the other day, on GTA 5, which came out, 8-10 years ago, something ridiculous. On that, you can phone a taxi, get in that, you can either choose to fast travel so it just loads, or you can just sit in the back and let it drive you around and immerse yourself in the world. And there's things like
But just like you say, in terms of the taxi, like that's part of that. One of the taxi companies is involved in one of the missions, and for me, I've not encountered anything like that. The other thing I will say is I have seen that on the Cyberpunk website that the RPG element, which was the reference of RPG, isn't there now. It's saying it's an action adventure open world game.
Really?
So, yeah, apparently they've changed it. So it's no longer saying RPG.
Shocker.
To cover their own backs.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I think
it's not an RPG anymore, is it? We can't even call it an RPG. Well, there go all most of my points against it because it's not an RPG anymore.
It's just a game.
It's just a game.
It's all right, CD Projekt Red. Just change the game as you wish. I mean, there's so much with it. I mean, apparently it was not built for all consoles, even though it was marketed and told to be, but it don't exist for them anymore.
Well, yeah, in terms of the base consoles, I was because one of the things that we posted on our social media was that, and I don't know if we're jumping too much ahead, but obviously Cyberpunk has been removed from some online stores, like specifically PlayStation. They were it's been temporarily removed. And originally, I thought it was just because of the quality, but one of the people we have on Instagram made a very valid point and said, obviously, it's an uproar with the refund policy, and I was kind of like, it's kind of both elements involved, because CD Projekt Red should have made sure, like that you said, 9 systems they were supporting this for. They should have made sure that there were versions available and that all of this kind of testing and making sure that it was running for all the systems. If there was a delay, then they could have at least done it. I think there's also circumstances where we're dealing with a console generation where it's not a cease and new. They haven't cut off the last generation. We're kind of seeding through it, and last gen has been for Xbox it's been a big thing. For PlayStation it's but you can just play PS4 games. But I think as they're on that barrier, they would have had to release a version in some capacity. And even if it was just a PS5 base version and they said, well, this is the true version, I think it would have been a bit more understanding. But in reflection, this was advertised for PS4 and Xbox One, and the fact that it can't even run and there are frame rates of 10 FPS, it's just crazy. I'm fully understanding of why people have kind of gone, I'm not going to play this because it's ridiculous.
I've got a bit of insight on the Sony removing it from the store and everything like that, and I'm kind of happy they did, because basically people were saying to Sony and Microsoft, question them saying, how's this been verified as a game that you sell, blah, 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 how does it meet criteria? And what it is that Sony and Microsoft did test the game before it got delayed, and CD Projekt turned around and said, and promised actually, that the game would be fixed from all the issues it had when they tested it by release. So they promised, and obviously because CD Projekt Red's so well worshipped by everybody on the planet, so it looks like Sony and Microsoft just said, okay, yeah, credit to you, you've got Witcher 3 and everything under your belt. If you say you're going to fix it by launch, you're going to fix it by launch. And it looks like they haven't done, and then it's like Sony's just been like, you said you were going to fix this. Now we're selling it, and we're getting endless people asking for refunds. People can't play it. You promised it would be in working condition. Ryan, you spun round.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Upside down.
Presumably, though, if that were the case, and they did say that to Sony, and they agreed it'd be written, it'd be traceable, and it'd be bound by some sort of contract with something to say that, if it isn't up to scratch by that point, then we'll have to take it down. Well, they have taken it down, so maybe that is the case.
I think it's just the fact that we're so trusted, and I think it's just that it's just trust. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think they actually thought they'd have to get it. They probably will think about that now in the future, but I think it's a good strong statement from Sony, especially in holiday season, where maybe 20 to 30% of sales would have come from that PlayStation Store alone, and now they've taken it down. I love how CD Projekt Red put it down and said, we've had discussions with Sony and we both think it's best that it be removed from the store. And it's not that at all, because there's no way you were just saying, all right, then we'll lose a massive, probably about a third of his sales just because it's not ready. You were begging them to keep it on and probably promising more patches, but
I think it's CD Projekt Red threw Sony under the bus, and in terms of offering refunds, when Sony's refund policy has always been very strict, and it's only in exemplary circumstances where they will allow refunds. Now, obviously, this was something where I think CD Projekt Red just saved it to save face, like, oh, we're the good guys, we're trying to do what we can. Those who are not happy with the experience, you are within your right to do so. And Sony are just like, well, they kind of, like I say, they were thrown a hand, and they've literally gone, well, we're taking it off the store. It's simple as that. We're not going to go through this.
The last thing I remember being taken off any store because it was in such bad quality was Batman Arkham Knight on Steam. Steam removed it because it was that incompatible with PCs, and they just said, you know what, we just won't sell it. It's in that poor condition. You're not having it on our store, unfortunately. Which I think is quite good for companies to do, because they could just keep it on there and take the money, but I think it just makes a statement. It's like, look, people, you can't be releasing rubbish onto the store because it's going to get negative feedback, even though it's making money because of sales, because it's Batman. And same with Cyberpunk. It's like, just because it's making sales doesn't mean it's good. But I've found out a few little bits and bobs, like the little 4-week delay that they had from November to December. Apparently there were a lot of hopes that people would kind of ignore what's classed as last gen now, because the new consoles are nicely placed in there. So they kind of like tried to hide it a little bit, because apparently they want much work done for those old gens during that 4-week gap, even though that's what it was supposed to be for. So there's a lot of shadiness going on from a trusted company. I mean, they've said themselves when they released that statement saying, well, they had an emergency meeting, didn't they? A stockholders meeting or whatever it is. Basically saying we want to regain the respect that we've lost with consumers and you, the shareholders, which is a big worrying sign, because it's like they've gone behind everyone's back promising this. They've done it to consumers, their shareholders more than likely. Done it with Sony, Microsoft. I mean, they've done it all. They've done it with everything. Being so shady. Like, they've only been showing off the PC version of the game, which I kind of understand, because when you're marketing something, you're not going to show the worst version of your product. You want to sell it high. But when it comes to the reviews, they're only letting people use PC games. They said you can't use your own footage. You've got to use the B-roll footage that's already released. When reviewers asked for a console copy, CD Projekt Red said, yeah, you can have a console copy when it's launched. And there's a lot going on with this because there's a big reason they didn't want it to come out is because their bonuses on this game are based on Metacritic score being between 90 and 100. And I think currently it's at like 88.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of financial thing in there, and that's where Ryan was just mentioning before, and I read it the other day and stuff. There's a big divide between the developers at CD Projekt Red and the higher ups. A massive divide, and it's gone so far that the developers have started speaking out, and it's like a civil war at the moment by the sounds at CD Projekt. The developers are not happy. They said they got all these different times set for the release. They kept saying the game is not ready. There's so much work to be done on it, and it basically got palmed off. They didn't want to know.
Yeah, they forced it out, didn't they?
So if the developers are there basically begging them not to release it because it's not finished, there's so much going on there. It's like there's no communication going on between them at all by the sounds. CD Projekt Red is they're worried about the investments, financial wise.
Isn't it? It's like Coronation
It is really bad, isn't it? It just shows you how bad it is when developers are speaking out like that, and it's like, and I feel sorry for them. They've put all this work in for years and years, and it's come out and it's getting so much negativity, and it's like, we know you developers have worked and put everything into it with the crunch, probably 60, 70-hour weeks, everything, especially through COVID times. So you have put your heart and soul into it, and we respect that. It just sounds like it's on the higher ups. Someone take over because my voice is going.
I would say, Johnny, is if you do play it again, just persevere until you're like probably 50% of the way through. And if you still feel the same, sack it off.
I just feel like it's got too much cut. And I know another thing I've seen is that a lot of people are saying if you look past the bugs and glitches, it's an amazing 10 out of 10 game. But in my eyes, it's not. There's so much missing from it compared to other games that came out years ago. I mean, your mobile phone, you don't even got one. It's just a screen that comes up. The AI, there's no AI. Cops don't even get in cars and chase you. Pedestrians walk from crossing to crossing to crossing to crossing. You bump into somebody, everybody's down with their hands on their heads like you've just shot someone. There's no AI put in there at all. It's really poor.
I think I think a lot of other games, they had a couple of elements which I think it's because we've seen other games do these revolutionary things where not so much revolutionary, they've added in features where they, like, for example, the mobile phone in GTA 5. I love that little interface. It makes it feel a sense of not realism, but it's simple. It's on your screen. It's not in the way, and you can interact with it whilst you're playing the main game. And that's a great way for you to receive messages, to be able to do little things like even take selfies or take photos.
Yeah.
And I love the way they've integrated that. And like say, like the rail systems, we've had rail systems in numerous games, even back to, I think it was San Andreas, I think, had a rail system. Unless I can't, my brain's mush. I haven't played it in years. But we have had games where they've had train-based systems in there. And I think and the AI as well. We've seen games where they've handled it way better. And I think it's because we've been used to all these advances in these little areas. I think in a way we were expecting CD Projekt Red to kind of implement this to that standard, and in those aspects there feels like a bit of undelivery. There's also things which have been kind of teased, like say monorail system, certain ways that interactions take place, certain inclusions, and if I just saw it as just like Troy said, it's a first-person open-world experience, not much depth. I'd say it's a good game, with some great elements and a great aesthetic. But if you're trying to compare this on a 10 out of 10 basis, you need to be putting those kind of things in there. Those advances, those things that are either subconscious or they make you in awe of wanting to use that. and there isn't really anything there. I'm just kind of just plodding along the missions. I'm stealing a few cars here and there, trying a few fights, and I can invest myself in the character. But in terms of the world, it's not so much that I'm taken out of the world, it's more that it just exists. It has the surface area of a lake, but the depth of a puddle.
How long have you been
That's
working
probably-
on that one?
It's the best way I can describe
It is
it.
largely surface level. I agree with that.
Yeah.
My
It
experience.
does quite a lot right.
But yeah, like I say, my experience with RPGs is limited and open world games. But I'm enjoying it. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm
Hey,
enjoying
if
it.
you're enjoying it, fair
Really
play.
Yeah,
I'm in love with
Yeah,
the aesthetics. Like Ryan said, the aesthetics are, well, some of the best I've seen on a game. Because I'm a science fiction buff, and I love that sort of shit.
it's just like going into Afterlife and you've got that green. Yeah, it's like when you go into Afterlife and you have like that green and kind of white light
Beyond that,
glow. It's so nice. I'm stood there going, if someone makes a bar like that, well, I'm guessing with with the current global climate, we're not going to get that anytime soon. If someone did a bar like that in like 5 years or so, like I'd be stood there going, like, boys, let's travel. Whether this is in
let's get down
whether
to
it's
that.
in whether it's in England, whether it's in Scotland, whether it's in somewhere in Europe, let's go.
We need
Because
a Lizzie's bar, don't we? That's what we need.
yes, we do.
Few
I
Judy's
just-
talking about.
Oh. There's a lot of love out there for Judy. Probably most loved character on game, to be honest.
I'm enjoying her as a character. I think so far I've not really dived too much in because I reset my game. So basically, I've just seen the content that I've seen so far. But yeah, she seems like an appeal. In fact, there are some characters that I'm seeing those personalities through, like Meredith, seeing a little bit in terms of Rogue, Johnny, of course. In terms of it, it's just I don't know whether it's just me being in the awe of Keanu, but I can invest in his character. There's a certain ways that he does things, his kind of, his snappiness to certain things, and the way eventually he kind of comes into a bit more cooperative sense.
Yeah, not many people mention Keanu in it, but you don't really need to because you just know it's on point. It's top A-level stuff that there's no to even question. It's just
he's acting second to none. It just flows. It's fluid. I'm telling you now that I'm quite far in on the story, and the story does grow legs. It does get deeper than what you two have seen so far at the beginning portion of the game. It is deeper than you think, and it's good.
Yeah, to be fair, with yourself being the science fiction guy, I would I would take your word for that. And I'm happy to do like both, like be able to dive into the world in a sense of just to play around, because you can just play around even though there isn't really that much to do. You can still, like, even if it was an example of just going, okay, one night I'm just going to go all out, don't care, I'm just going to be a rogue, I'm going to be I forgot what they're called in the game, cyber psychos I think they're called. Like just do that. Just go around and just kind of be like, yeah, I'm just a badass, like be the antagonist of your own science fiction story in Night City. And you can do that. You can use your imagination and invest in that experience and what you would do. Because sometimes in games, it's not sometimes what the game provides in terms of story. It's about also making your own. And if you can use that platform, that model, in order to facilitate some sort of, personal story that you'd like to, like to put that into fruition, with yourself being, the number one person in that story. You're controlling everything. You can make your own experience how you want. And I think the depth of the world can facilitate that. Plus, you've got the story which you can jump in at any time. So I think it's a good kind of mold, but definitely those other aspects that we would see not so much as a standard or mandatory, but the things that will really start to bulk up the experience. Those kind of features are either limited or they're non-existent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've laid out the foundations for it perfectly. I'll give them that. I mean, like I said, the graphics are there, the world's there for them. It just needs to be filled in, basically, like that.
I'm pretty sure they'll get there now with all the negativity about.
Oh, without a doubt, they will work their asses off and they will patch this game, and it will become what we wanted. And it's probably a good thing that they're getting all this feedback, because if it were like okay and only a bit of feedback, then it probably won't change much. But the fact that we've seen it before. I mean, Final Fantasy 14, they redid it from the ground up, and now it's amazing. They've done it with other games like No Man's Sky brought it back. Yeah. And CD Projekt Red, with all this money, all this talent, and the size of their teams, and determination from the developers, it will be what we want it to be eventually. It's just not that now. So people think I hate the game. I don't like it that much, but it will be what we want eventually. And I mean, I do want to be in that. People who don't think I like this world or anything, you're wrong. I'm like Troy. I'm Ryan. I want to be in that. I want to be role-playing the hell. I want to be selling off parts to people on black market and stuff and making money that way. Do we not dodgy stuff like this and just instead of just set missions and
Well, here's an interesting question: is Cyberpunk 2027 better classified as a games as a service game, like a AAA games as a service?
2027.
2077. Sorry, it was the prequel. It wasn't released fully. But yeah,
what was the question?
In terms of Cyberpunk 2077, would it be right if we considered it like a games as a service? Because they said that they're doing free updates, they're doing free DLC. So technically, it's the foundations for games as a service. And like I say, if you think about No Man's Sky, it's pretty much in the same way. They made it like a full price game on launch, and since then they've added updates to it. Another example would be Sea of Thieves. I played that a couple of times, and they've added story modes. They've added so much depth to it, and they're constantly adding to the experience. And the one thing I love about Rare is that they're keeping the fans up to date personally through like YouTube videos and keeping through on their updates. And I just like that approach, that personal approach of just reaching out and saying, "This is what we're doing. This is what we're introducing. This is what is in store." And at the moment from CD Projekt, we don't get that. Now, I get that response that Rare is doing, it's completely optional, but it's but it could help if you had someone who said, right, I'm a representative for CD Projekt Red. This is what we're doing. But I think introducing them right now would be like leading a lamb to slaughter.
That's one thing they can't do. They better not release a roadmap saying, "Look, we're gonna do these updates and these." Don't say a thing. Just say work on it. Don't set dates for stuff yet again.
I think they've learned the lesson of these, don't you think?
But the thing is, they probably will do just to please shareholders and stuff. Say, "Look, here's a roadmap of what we've got planned," and it's like the developers will be like, "Don't do that, Jesus. Let us handle it." But a lot of deceiving. I think, they've lost a lot of trust here, and it's going to take a lot to bounce back. I mean, people can say what they want, but they blatantly lied to people. They just did. They lied to companies, they lied to themselves, and they lied to consumers. I don't care how much you love them. Stop getting on your knees for them, right? And they deserve this backlash. They brought it on themselves at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's a lot of backlash in there, and I think there's got to be some changes up in the top management now. Yeah. I think.
Like I said, it's not the developers. I mean, if anyone, I've seen a few tweets on there. It's aimed at developers. Don't. It's nothing to do with the developers. This is all higher up. The developers are just the workers creating the product, and they're upset about it. They're not happy. They didn't want the game out yet. It's not ready, and it's just being pushed out.
Yeah. Same. Because you'd think, in terms of being those people who are involved in constructing the game and hearing the criticism of, I'm hearing these, bugs, missing features. We're not saying these things as to the developers. The one thing I don't want the developers to think is that this is going to add more pressure, because that's not fair on them. Like I say, it seems like that they have voiced their concerns, and it's not so much that what they have done so far has been completely the wrong thing. That's not what we're trying to say here, because there are still some great moments. Even with myself restarting my game, there are some moments that I'm just like reliving. I'm seeing things in a different way. For example, the Maelstrom mission. I decided to go a particular one way. So when I did my second playthrough, I thought, okay, maybe I'll align myself with another party. I did that, and lo and behold, one of the key people that I was involved with was in a completely different situation, and that situation, instead of being at the beginning, was at the end, and it led to a great encounter. So and that's the stuff I was like, oh yeah, there is a lot of gold in there, and I can understand the frustration. You don't want to send out anything that's not working. You don't want to, for example, you don't want to sell a sofa and then realize you haven't got like the springs or the appropriate padding. So when someone sits in it, your feet are just like up like that.
Yeah.
you don't want to be like that. And it's, I just don't want them to get the understanding that by us pointing out these things, that this is something that's on them. It isn't. We know that these things are going to take time, and with every update, we know the experience is going to improve. And we are very appreciative, because it's your efforts that are helping to turn this game into the experience that it was envisioned to be. Even if we're missing certain features, there needs to be, as you say, realistic timeframes. And if some stuff can't get included in, I mean, that's fine. That's no problem at all. I still think that with certain, if these bugs and glitches are addressed, it's still a good game in terms of an open world shooting experience. I like it, but yeah, no, it's not on them.
Yeah. They need to listen to the employees. Listen to them, work with them. You're going to get the best out of them, and if they make the best, your consumers will love you. People know this. You can make money and make a great product that everyone loves at the same time. It don't have to be one or the other. You're not going to lose out on money. Obviously, you've made so much money anyway, and they've said they're putting a lot of money. They don't care what the cost is. They're going to fix the game. It's not going to affect them that much, by the way. They're still going to make a bomb. But just, like I said, just work with your development team. They will do their best, and we've seen it from The Witcher 3 and previous games. They will deliver. You've just got to let them do that and give them the time that they needed. Sorry, Troy, what were you saying?
Like you say, we need to get the best out of the developers, and the pressure needs to come off them. Fair enough, get the first few patches out of the way, fix the major things, but then take your time with it and just deliver what you've promised, something that's good quality and the experience that we all envisioned. Never mind them, but us as well as the consumer.
Yeah.
Ironically, I thought The Last of Us Part 2 was the most polarizing game of 2020. Oh. And Cyberpunk 2077 has just gone, hold my beer.
Yeah, it's off the hook now. But I'm kind of glad it's getting this, because it's happened to big-ish games before and stuff like that when this has come out, the games have come out in this condition. And it's got to be an example to other companies. It's going to be like, look, stop releasing stuff that isn't finished. How many times does it need to happen before you get the message? Ubisoft, fix your stuff before you release it. And everyone else.
It might be a good thing going forward for all the games.
Exactly. Be like, and shareholders, Jesus, take a break. You're gonna get your money. Leave them. Let them work.
I think this has been a thing ever since the Xbox Game Store and the PlayStation Store and Nintendo's store, it's eShop now, I think. It's ever since those stores have come through, the fact that they can deliver updates through there. I think more companies are more relying on this. And I get it, the games contain way more elements than they did back in the day. But you shouldn't ideally be relying on these services to try and fix it after. I get it if it's for the odd things. That's what it was originally there for, to just tweak the few little things that may have not been great, or to add extra little updates after. That's fine. But to use it as a mechanism to fix the game after launch, that over-reliance I think the companies have been treading lightly on that. It's kind of like a get out of jail free card where you can just get it out for a specific time, and then we'll just, like you said, we'll fix it later.
Yeah, when we talked
Well,
about
what's
it the
happened
other
here?
day, it's become the normal way a lot of people expect it. One tweet that really annoyed me, which is the biggest amount of bullshit I've ever read ever, is that the people that were complaining about the bugs and stuff. One guy says gamers set the standards too high. What we are expecting. It's like, do you even have any standards for what a game release should be? Because I don't know about you. He said every game comes out with bugs, even in AAA's. There's multiple games I've played over the last year or two that don't have any bugs at all. Last of Us 2, I didn't see a bug. Final Fantasy 7, I didn't see a bug. God of War, I didn't see a bug. Detroit Become Human, I ain't seen a bug. I know they're all PlayStation exclusives, and Detroit's on PC. But
Mega Drive.
But there's plenty of other games that haven't.
You've already
got
sold
glitches.
it to me. I'm getting a PlayStation, just not yet.
No, but there's Xbox games that haven't got issues. There's Steam games that don't have issues. And everything has to come out. We expected it in an open world because it's happening in Fallouts, it's happening in Elder Scrolls games, The Witcher. We expected bugs, but on the level here about bugs and hard crashes and quality and rendering, on top of all the features missed out, and I'm sick of hearing people on the old consoles, which is classed as old now, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, they're getting told, what do you expect it to run on this machinery? Those machines can run the game fine. Cyberpunk isn't anything groundbreaking when it's like graphically demanding and things like that. I mean, it looks good on PC, but it can still run on these consoles. So people saying it can't run on them, they're just talking shit. And they've admitted that the CD Projekt Red admitted that they neglected the old consoles and took the focus away from it. So it's a load of rubbish that it shouldn't be able to run on these old consoles, because that's where a lot of sales are going. I mean, you know how hard it is to get hold of a PlayStation 5, an Xbox Series X? Probably like 80 to 90% of console gamers are still on that PlayStation 4, still on that Xbox One, whether it be the X or the Pro or anything. The game should be running on that. It was supposed to come out in April, for God's sake. Next gen wasn't even here. So please stop with that rubbish. It should be working on every platform they've got. And as I was saying, it works perfectly on Stadia, apparently. You know, that's got the most abuse out of every console service going, and it's the best place to play at the moment. It's amazing.
And it gets updated automatically. You don't have to worry about anything.
Exactly.
And
it's click play.
Coverage of all the consoles. They should have kept their eye on everything, and they didn't. And like, I've heard like the Pro consoles and the Xbox One X, they seem to be okay from what I understand. It's just those base consoles. For me, I've still got a base PS4, and I'm tempted just to install it on there just to see for myself.
Yeah, do it.
Well,
don't update it either. Don't update it. Play it as it came out.
No, just version 1.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do, because that would be interesting. I'd love to see, like, this is the game that was released. I never even thought about it because I just upgraded to the 5, and I just thought, well, I'm going to use it on the best hardware. So I'm going to use my powers to see what it's like, to see what it was truly like on the launch. Even just because they're seeing it in videos, that's one thing, but actually experiencing it is completely different. And obviously, that's one of the core aspects of SkyPunk Media here, is that we don't just look at a game and just go, and then make our own informed opinion. We play through all our games. We want to experience it and tell you guys exactly what we felt and the thoughts and opinions of, and how we see it in our eyes. And
yeah, and on that note as well, the fact that I haven't completed it, I have played 21 hours, so don't say I haven't given it a chance. If 21 hours ain't giving a game a chance, that's my precious time I'm giving up for that bloody thing. If that's not giving it a chance and lets me have my own opinion on it, then piss off, because it is.
That 21 hours gets you to end at prologue. Is that what it is?
Well, you can complete it in about 20 hours story, apparently, can't you? But it felt like that for the prologue. But yeah, that's another thing in it. It's all what people say that annoy me. People say, have you completed the story? You're not entitled to opinion. Once you complete the story, it'll all change. What, is there something at the end? Or that just make me think,
stop
my
moaning.
God. Mate, it's got to be done. The game is not in a playable condition. And the fact that they're saying, there's refunds on console, put it on PC. There's this big shadow cast now, like, it's perfect on PC. Piss off. It's shit.
It's not.
Literally... I want to
It's not-
refund it. I can refund it. I'll pick it up in a year when it's fixed and it's cheaper. I want that £50 back. I can buy Spider-Man Miles Morales with that.
I don't think it is. Most people's opinions online are absolute. It's you're wrong, and to say an opinion is wrong is, first of all, it's impossible because an opinion is never wrong.
Exactly.
in that sense, you could have a differing opinion, but an opinion is never false. And for me, I would rather have conversations with people who are open-minded and don't say you're not entitled to your opinion. Instead of going, I played on the base console. I still had issues, but I didn't have as many issues as you. That is opening up a dialogue for discussion. And I think people going, oh no, well, this is my experience and whatever you say is wrong. That's not a healthy way to debate. And like for us, we're open enough to see the pros and cons. We're open enough to have those conversations. Like that point regarding when we did our Instagram post on the store, the person I spoke with briefly in the Instagram comments, it was a great opinion, and I was like, this is completely valid. I never saw that in that light, and that's the thing. It's having that openness to discuss things. It's and I guess as well, it's kind of like the whole drama behind The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima for Battle of Game of the Year, and I'm seeing like all these back and forth, and people are saying, like, "Oh, go cry," "Oh, go be annoyed," and things like that. And I'm just, okay, like there are people providing constructive things, saying, "Yeah, the experience wasn't as great for me. I personally thought that I preferred this," and then people going, "No," and you just got to disregard those opinions, really, because anybody who is able to be open enough to say, here's my experience, and acknowledge someone else's, rather than dealing in absolutes, is someone who's going to, first of all, gain my understanding and my attention. The online community is just very much a load of noise. And for me, I think the best way to get those opinions is those who provide something to the table that's not just there.
Yeah, I told you about that guy that I was talking to the other day on Twitter when he was like disregarding all my things, and he was like, "Oh, me and my 30 friends on Discord, we're playing on PC, we've hardly had any issues." I kind of doubt that, but fair play. If you had no issues or bugs with the game, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm only messing.
That's what I'm saying. That's constructive. Yeah.
If you haven't had many bugs, if you're enjoying the game, good for you. That's your opinion. That's your experience. Mine's worse. Everybody has their own. It's The Last Jedi all over. If you loved it, good for you. If you didn't like it, unlucky.
It's fine. there is way more content out here nowadays for people to enjoy, and I get it. It's frustrating when you feel invested in a project, in a medium, in a story, in a concept, and it doesn't deliver from what you expect. But you never know.
A year ago in this
exactly.
Yeah.
Like for me, I still have yet to see it, and I'm embarrassed to even say this, but even though I'm enjoying Cyberpunk, I'm gonna eventually crack on and watch it all to Carbon. Like I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's a great sci-fi story.
Yes,
and I'm gonna invest in that. So I mean, even though I haven't personally seen it, it has that vibe, it has that aesthetic, that presentation, and it has seemingly a sci-fi story that seems intriguing. So I'm gonna invest some time in that.
I've re-downloaded The Witcher 3. I will play that until Cyberpunk is in a better condition for me to play it. But yeah,
isn't there a PS5 and Xbox Series X version coming out where it's like fully up gen? I didn't.
Don't hold your breath now. Developers might not even know about this yet.
You're a bit preoccupied, Ryan.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
Christ.
surprised if that got delayed now. They've probably got a separate team working on it, but probably not now. They're like, you lot, get in here. We've got something to fix. In it, red alert, code red.
It's pretty much time up, I think, boys.
Yeah, enough of
Yeah.
that. Of course.
We talk forever, I reckon.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more updates over the next week, because every day there's a new post about it, so there'll be a lot more.
Yeah, I think we've had some even experiences. I think the one thing that we can't say is that it's not an absolute travesty. It's not a disaster, but it's still a diamond in the rough. And I will still give, despite everything, I will still give CD Projekt Red the time to prove themselves.
Oh, definitely.
Can they make this the experience that they envisioned it to be? And is it going to take 57 years to do? We'll see what happens.
That's what I'm waiting for, mate. Like I said, no doubt, and I'm excited to see what it turns out to be in the end. So it's just a long game now. Just gotta wait.
Yeah, right. I think in the next 12 months we'll probably be partway there.
Oh, without a doubt. Like I said, I think they'll just totally revamp the whole thing after patches and mods as well when they start coming out. There's already a few out there, but when the actual content comes out, it's just gonna be like Skyrim, but a futuristic version of it. But yeah, I think that's it for end of part 1. But John, right back. I'm going to say ad break then. I didn't my mind from when Ryan said it. The ad break was just going to have an ad break where you see our logo. We advertise ourselves, but we'll be right back after that.
Yeah, Johnny needs to lie down. He's a bit hot-headed.
I'm fine with it. I just needed to get it out there because I was so frustrated with what I'm seeing online and everything. And you can't say anything on Twitter because so many times I've even typed a tweet and I've had to delete because I thought if I post this, notifications are just going to go off. All CD Projekt Red cooks are going to be on there. I thought I'm just going to get shredded.
Cyber cooks.
On here, I can imagine we might get a few dislikes on this video, maybe some nasty comments. Get a grip. Yeah. It's an opinion. But anyway, end of part 1. We will see you right after our logo. Hello and welcome back to part 2. We've all cooled down a little bit. I'm fine, don't worry. I'm breathing. But yeah, we're back for part 2 and we're just gonna a bit of gaming chatter, a bit of gaming news. Not as much because of you know what. We won't mention it again in this part. But Ryan, what you got for us?
Well, we've had some recent news. So you guys will recall that for the latest Spider-Man game, Miles Morales, there were 2 editions. You had the standard edition with the main game, and then you had the kind of deluxe edition, which included an exclusive remastered version of the Spider-Man game, the latest Spider-Man game. That's not Miles Morales. So it's recently come out that officially in the States, it is now available to download standalone on the PlayStation Store. So you can now buy it separately instead of having to buy it as part of this bundle edition. What do you guys make about that? Because for me, I was under the impression that, it would eventually be coming out as a standalone title, but not this soon.
Question. I have the original Spider-Man, and I've got PS5, obviously. It still runs at 30 frames, whatever. It's not the remastered one. I'm like a chunk of way through it because I'm doing everything. I'm 100% in it. But I refuse to carry on playing it until I've got that remaster. Is it going to be cheaper for me to buy it standalone and then buy Spider-Man Miles Morales on separate or what? Or is it just going to be cheaper for me to just buy the bundle, what's 70 quid or something?
Yeah, so from what I can see from the price on the US store as reported by some journalist sites, apparently the price point in the States for the remaster of Spider-Man is about $40. So it's not full-blown $70 that they're expecting, and it's not around the $50 range, but still it's about £35, which
I reckon $29.99 it'll go on that store. I do.
Yeah, I think that's a solid price range, and to be fair, even if you buy the Miles Morales version, basically works out you're basically spending about £20, which is still a good deal, and it's a DLC code, so it's not embedded in the disc. So you're basically getting that game for a reduced price, and I can understand that standalone it would cost more. So I would be fine with that, especially since it's a new, it's a new not a revisioning, but it's an upgrade from the original PS4 title.
I know it's hard to do, but with physical, but with digital, because mine's digital, surely there's something they can come up with, and they can just say, look, you've got Spider-Man purchased on your account digitally, £10-15, we'll upgrade to remaster. Just give us that option, man. I've already bought the game. I just want to remaster it, and it's just a little upgrade.
Well, here's one example that may suggest that's not the case. So I have Observer for the PS4. I think I mentioned it possibly previously on the cast. And it was recently delisted, the original version, because they've done a remaster, the System Redux version. And there was, for a brief time, I think on Xbox and Steam, you could get an upgrade on there for about 80% less. That version was not available for PlayStation Store. And for me, that's a bit sad because I would have loved to have played this remastered version, but it's £25. And I can't justify spending £25 just to upgrade an experience of a game I've already played and I do generally like, and I think it's pretty good. But I'm not going to spend £25, and I just wish there was an upgrade option because I did thoroughly enjoy it. It has some great aesthetics about it. It's also a game that, for people who may not be so intrigued with a certain, futuristic first-person shooter open-world action experience.
What's this game you speak of?
Well, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's kind of similar named to our brand, like SkyPunk. It's something similar like that, but I just can't put my finger on it.
I'll have to look into it sometime. See if it's any good.
Essentially, these remasters are different games, though, are they? They're not the same game. It's like a separate entity.
It's a
big selling point for these companies, isn't it? Remastered. They're not just going to hand out the remastered for free.
That's understandable.
It's a big selling point.
Yeah, it's just a price point on it. Like you said, Ryan, you've completed it already. You'd probably replay it remastered, but the fact that you'd have to pay that amount to do it, and the fact that I purchased it just a few months ago before the PlayStation 5 came out, like I said, I'm a chunk way through it. I feel like I'm missing out now if I carry on doing it on that version. I don't want to play that version anymore. And I just think it's a lot of money just to upgrade it. I'm going to be a sucker. I'm still going to buy the special edition Miles Morales for like 70 quid just so I can get the remastered. I feel like I'm cheating if I jump to that game, because I do think the remastered Spider-Man will come to PlayStation Plus collection, without a doubt. Is the original? No, the original's not on there, but it's going to come. They're going to milk as much money as they can. Then next summer they'll be like, we'll put it on Plus collection. So I could just wait, but I want to play them in order. I don't think there's like a direct link or anything between them. It's just that I want to play it that way. I would never play like a newer game and then go back to an older game.
I think a lot. So
therefore,
it's a good point though. It's like, what's the fine line with these remastered games? Because it's no surprise we're getting way more remastered experiences. I think Resident Evil 1 has had so many different ports, and the remasters, I think, are in their kind of like their second reboot cycle. But it's hard to justify spending full retail price for most of these remastered experiences, and I think that's why, I can understand from the Observer game, £25. It's a brand new experience. However, I invested in the game previously, and I saw the incentives for other stores. I just didn't understand why they didn't do it with Sony. Because if it was just £10, like £10 for an upgraded experience, I would say, I've paid in the game. I've played the game before. It's or even 15. Like, I'd be like, it's like, thank you for investing in our game originally. We are giving you this at a reduced price, and it was never offered for PlayStation gamers. And I think for going with Spider-Man, it's if they put it on for £30, I just feel more, and you can tell it's a selling strategy. They're gonna want you to buy the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales so that you can play the brand new Spider-Man experience.
They're going to justify the manpower and the effort that's gone into remastering these games. They do that with the price.
I'm full on with that, and I think they deserve money, but I just think for people that have already bought the Spider-Man, it should be a reduced price. Fair play, I think £30, if no one's played, if you haven't played that Spider-Man, it's your first time picking it up, £30 for that remastered Spider-Man, bargain. And it's a complete edition, you've got all the DLC. If it's first time getting it, bargain. But if you've already got it, there should be some sort of system in place to get reduced. Even if you've got it physical, maybe. But that's still dodgy, but...
Take Mass Effect, for example. I'm just about ready to play Mass Effect again from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, Andromeda. But I'm going to hold off till the remasters, and I'm going to pay full price for them, because I know it's going to be a highly upgraded experience.
Yeah.
So much time that has elapsed between
that's the thing.
Those two things.
I think with Spider-Man, it's like 2 or 3 years or something. It's not a big time gap, so... If it were a big time gap, it were like, say it were like Spider-Man from the PS2 or a PS3 game, they said, oh, we're remastering that now. Fair play, because there's a massive chunk in time. I'm guessing all they've done for this really is transfer it over to the next version of the Unreal Engine and add they've added assets that they've already made for Miles Morales and put it in there. I know it takes time and manpower, but...
I'll give you another great example. Another great example. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. There's been at least 20 years between that game. And I was like, right, I'm paying full price because there has been a big gap and there is a big graphical change.
And some additional features as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I love that game.
Awards, isn't it? One of the awards at the Game Awards.
Yeah, it's a great game. If you're ever a fan of Tony Hawk's games, it is like even I remember like some of the special moves from when I used to play those games and just playing them immediately and immediately seeing that special move and like pick it up like nothing happened in the new generation. It's great. I just and especially on the PS5, certain renderings again are a lot quicker. It's you don't really see much of it because I had a base PS4 and it was still fine on that, and it was like it wasn't graphically demanding, but it was a fun experience. But for me, I felt that 20-year price gap, they've had to remake it from the ground up, and I can say that's fine.
Yeah, they haven't imported like a PS1 game into the newer engine because it's impossible. They've actually gone the full works. It's like a full project basically.
Yeah, I wish they a different game, innit?
Yeah.
I wish they'd done what Resident 2 did and did the PS1 models.
I knew you were going to say this.
I would have loved that. If I get like a PS1 model of Tony Hawk, I'd love it.
I'm surprised you haven't. That's DLC. That's £5 DLC right there. Get the PS1 graphics for the character and stuff in there, and the sound effects for them and things like that.
Nostalgia.
In it, I mean, for the Resident Evil 2 remake, I've bought the DLC where it replaces a new soundtrack with the old soundtrack because the ambient music in that police station on the original is the creepiest, best music in a horror game I've ever heard, and the save room music. The nostalgia people pay for that. I mean, I know people that it was the first time playing Resident Evil 2, they probably won't be interested in it, but at the end of the day, that's what that game were aimed at, and same with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. It's aimed at the people that played it on the PlayStation 1. That was their selling point.
Yeah, it's an interesting point with the remaster and remake. And then
how
we're
much
hearing
time and stuff like that. I mean, you had The Last of Us that got the same treatment, didn't it? It came out on PlayStation 3 at the end of that era, and then it got remastered on the PS4 about a year later. So similar there.
Yeah, it's a kind of a fine line. I guess for those who want it enough, they'll pay for it, and I think that's where the fine line is. I just think there should be some. I guess what I'm asking is probably a big ask, but I just would have thought, it's even if it was just a small price drop or anything. The fact is, with that Observer, it was that reduction was offered, just not to PlayStation gamers, and I think that's kind of what made me a little bit sad. Disappointed. I was just disappointed because I thought this would have been a great opportunity for me to just jump straight in. And the problem was it wasn't delisted for quite a while. So it was announced about a year ago, I think. And it was still available on the store to purchase for a bit, and then it got taken down. So now you can't buy it. You have to buy the Redux version. Luckily, they haven't done a Scott Pilgrim and removed it from the store completely. So I'm not going to end up selling my base PS4, which is full of dust, and get £800 because it's got some rare, obscure game. I also got PT on it, so that's at least £1,200.
Another big one, it wasn't really a remaster, but it was a big talking point in it with the next-gen Control. I don't know if you remember all that kerfuffle where basically people who had control. Well, if you had control, you weren't entitled to a free next gen update. But if you went out and purchased the complete edition, the ultimate edition, you got a free upgrade. And then the developers' reasoning was they said, "Oh, it's not possible for us to upgrade that version to the next gen. You've got to buy this new version we've released." But then when it came to it, people on, I think it were Xbox, were accidentally getting their standard versions of Control upgraded to the next gen version, and the developer said it weren't possible, and they revoked it as well. They took it back. So that were a blatant lie, saying, "No, you need to buy the ultimate version for like 50 quid because we can't do it to yours." But then they did it and then took it back, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can't do it, but we did it anyway, kind of. Sorry, wrong one."
Now it's on Game Pass.
These sneaky companies, man.
It's sneaky. I'm not even interested in playing that game, but it just gives me another reason to not even try it, because it's ridiculous. They deserve it. They deserve to be shamed for it.
This
is what I was saying.
Business, isn't it?
It's what I was saying last week. First impressions count, and they can last a lifetime.
And it don't matter how good you make your game over time, but when it first comes out, it will. Cyberpunk. Oh, I said it!
Oh,
I said it!
Oh no!
I said it!
Get in that corner now.
I'm off, guys. This is ridiculous. Yeah, but I think it's just gonna be like a talking point of games in the future. It's gonna be like, "Oh, this is bad. Remember Cyberpunk?" And that's how it's just gonna go from there on.
But I think one thing I'd love to say is, with No Man's Sky, they're a great example of pulling through. And okay, they should still be. At the time, they were heavily scrutinized for what they did, but that game is now looking stellar. It has added depth to it, and now it's kind of almost like you're no longer in the naughty step. Come and sit with the rest of the class.
Well, it's doing what I just said. It's doing what I said. It's a story. That's why we're talking about it now. It's a story that they changed it. Hopefully, the same will be said for Cyberpunk. It'll be like, "Come round, girls and boys. I've got a story for you." A game came out. It was shit. They made it amazing. It's been a talking point forever. No Man's Sky will be a talking point for years to come. Cyberpunk, if it gets amazing, that'll be a talking point. Just as an example, how stuff can come out like that. But yeah, like I said, first impressions count. But let's try not to dwell on it too much.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's the kind of the main talking point with that one. I've also heard that in terms of this, there has been so Doug Bowser, who is the president of Nintendo of America, has also shut down rumors of a pro version of the Nintendo Switch, which I guess isn't really much of a surprise because the base model and Switch Lite have been heavily popular this year, primarily due to the current global climate, where we've seen exponentially, like for example, back in last month, console sales, Switch in the UK was the number one selling console, despite the launch of PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles. So they've done really, really well in terms of that. So it doesn't come as much of a surprise that a pro version has been shot down.
I'm calling bullshit on it. It's been done before.
Oh, you are?
It's been done before where they just missed rumours, because if they like confirm those rumours and everything, it's like it has been like since launch. It's a top selling console. They're always out of stock everywhere. If you confirm there's a better version coming out and it's Christmas time as well, people are going to hold off purchasing that console. It's been done before when people have dismissed stuff and then months later things have come out. There will be a new version coming out. I can probably about 80% positive that there will be a new version, but you can't announce it like that. It's like it's gonna get dropped at an event probably like early next year. They can't announce it now because it'll cost them money with the sales for the current console.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's just marketing, innit? It's just business. You just wouldn't do it, would you? Be like, "Oh yeah, don't buy that this Christmas. We've got a newer, powerful version coming out." You just wouldn't do it.
Makes sense, to be fair.
So yeah, I call bullshit. I think we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm right.
Actually, I did make a mistake. It was also the number one selling console in the US in November as well. So, and makes sense. It's a great console. I just think it's just its capacity and what it can do. Even the live version, even though there's some kind of limitations, still a great little handheld console. And to be a console that can have those current or last gen graphical experiences, it's pretty good from where they've come up from the the Game & Watch and the Game Boy and the Nintendo DS days. It's a lovely little evolution of consoles.
Yeah. And as for that, I think that is about all we have time for, because it has been a very long episode, unfortunately, because we did record half an episode earlier this week, but there were some audio issues, and then we've just all had engagements since, so it's been difficult, so that's why this episode is a lot later. But good news is, we have got another episode coming very soon, hopefully. We have a Christmas special, because Ryan has prepared a quiz.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're kind of dreading it, because we know how me and Troy know how deep you go into things, so we've got half the questions we won't even understand, never mind have an answer for.
You're very theatrical.
Yeah,
I'm very thorough. No, it's basically it's going to be a little bit of fun. Got a few kind of rounds here and there.
It's going to be full of stats as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say, do I need a scientific calculator and like a Wikipedia on hand and stuff?
No. It's basically, so most of it is around. There's going to be a few things that are about this year. Yeah. There's going to be like general knowledge. There's going to be some kind of like some little factual things in there, some guessing. There's going to be a round where it's going to be like the Price is Right, so with some obscure little items. And the final round, which will maybe be the longest, is what's going to crown our first official Quizmaster. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to see if I can get something out of the cupboard to dress for the occasion. So I'm going to be making sure I wear my glad rags. So
leather thumb.
Oh my days. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So it's going to be a bit of a Christmas special. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to have a laugh. If you want to join in at home, because we know there's still tier 3 everywhere, basically, there's nowhere to go, you can join in. It should be good, and we'll see how it goes. But
that's a good thing I'll mention about the quiz, is that for most of the rounds, that they will be ones that you can interact with. So you're more than welcome to guess along with us. We'll also be making sure that there will be no cheating. So we're going to be going by pen and paper for answer verification. So, just to think, we're doing this right. We're not just going to have it as, oh yeah, the answer's Skyrim. And you? Same. We're not doing anything.
We're going to have auditors knocking on the door or something. Am I expecting somebody? Or
No. And unfortunately, I haven't prepared any prizes. So,
What?
Okay, I'll try and think of something.
Some sort of.
Tell you what.
Well,
I'll tell you what. I've got
a copy of a game.
Yeah,
I don't want a free copy of that game either.
I was going to say that. Well, I can't really give you any of my Brucey ones, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking the look of that retro library you've got behind you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few games I'd like to add to my collection over
there. It does look very nice. That's a statement of fact. But anything else is.
On that note.
Yeah, look forward to it. It's going to be really good. And got to say thank you yet again, you two, for making the time to join, because I know we've all been very busy. It's Christmas week as well, so it's going to be a very interesting week, and I can't wait to have a few drinks, to be honest, and let off some steam and have a laugh with this quiz. But
let my hair down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What hair? Oh dear. That afro under that hat. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So if you've stayed with us long, yet again, thank you for checking out this episode. There's 2 other episodes to check out as well. And if you want to follow us on social media, the links are down in the bottom corner over there. And there's a website down there. And if you like this content, please like, subscribe. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it tons. And yeah, we'll see you again for the Christmas special, hosted by Ryan. See you later.